Hello and welcome to episode number 52. Choice, 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 choice. So, you may have guessed what this particular topic is this week. It's about choice. Actually, it's a lot more than choice and also choice. It's kind of a whole bunch of things rolled into one. Um, so, choice. It's probably something that gets talked about quite a bit. I've talked about it before. Um, and it's also the place of like how often do we like look at it? We're like, oh, you have choice, and yeah, I got choice or whatever, and that's kind of where it stays. It doesn't really go any further than that. What if it was more than that? Like, um, what if choosing and almost like demanding more of you to show up, more of everything to show up. It was really interesting. I had this awareness the other day. Well, I just acknowledged the other day of how much my life has changed in the last, I don't know, 6 months, 2 months, 1 month. And it's constantly changing. And the whole change, what I became aware of is this change that's going on in my life. And that this choosing something completely different, something way more, not something, choosing way more of me and kind of showing up in a completely different way. Um, which I don't really entirely have words for at this particular moment, but it's this acknowledgement, seeing how much has changed in even in the last few years of my life, and really seeing this glimpse of what else is possible. And I have become aware of that there's so much more possible that I haven't been willing to acknowledge. um, and then also playing with uh, using the title of choice of like, what would you like to play with and what is fun for you? And so I was looking at these things myself these last few days, and and there's a few things that are really fun for me, and so I'm going to play with this more and how it shows up, and I'm not entirely sure. I have some ideas that I'm going to play with, but there are basically three things that were really fun for me. One is I love electric cars, like just the whole thing around electric cars, driving them, everything around them. That gets me super excited. The other thing is I love facilitating. I love working with people. I love doing sessions, doing classes. It's really fun. Like I really, really enjoy that. And then the other thing is tied in with that, that's really shown up for me lately is access bars, and running bars on people and seeing the change that shows up when with people and myself, like just how much dynamic change gets created with running bars and playing with that. And it's something I've been choosing more for me. I usually choose it once a week. Last week I chose it 3 times. This week I'll for sure get it at least twice, get my bars run or do an exchange with somebody. And so those are the things that I'm going to play with a lot more and looking forward and seeing what I can do with that. And this is kind of where it's like getting getting clear of what works for you and what's fun for you, and then kind of playing with it and going in that direction. And I've got something that's coming up very shortly that I'm not going to say anything about just yet. I will when that actually shows up. So it's something that I'm definitely excited about, and and kind of see where that goes. But that will come at a little bit later date. And then just looking at really what would you like to choose. And I've had a conversation with a few people about this recently, and this whole choosing for you thing keeps on popping up. This we often spend so much time choosing for other people, choosing, for your family, choosing for, um, even sometimes like choosing for your business, where, if you're a total workaholic, that's all you do is everything's based on that and nothing else, which doesn't always create the life that you would like to have. It could be choosing a relationship, choosing for the person that you're in a relationship with, whoever that may be, whatever that may look like. And so you're constantly in this place where you're not choosing for you. And I have talked about this before, I know, but it was really interesting. What showed up was this other piece that this piece of awareness, how extremely aware we actually are. And if you're watching this, you're definitely one of those people. So this awareness, we have awareness that is so amazingly brilliant that it seems so real that it has to be ours. So you feel something in your body or something is going on in your world, maybe this weird energy or something, and it seems so real. It seems like you're like, this has to be me. And when you ask questions around it and you're willing to acknowledge what is actually true for you and you realize it isn't actually yours. And I'm going to give you a little example. I don't know if I've used this one before. I've spoken to a few people about it, but this is an example. So I was walking home the other day, and really close to where I live right now, there's this little dark area and these little stairs that I go down. And I was walking through that area at nighttime. It wasn't really late, and I had this. It was kind of like this vision. Is the best way I could describe it, but it seemed extremely real, of being stabbed. So it was bizarre, and it was almost like, I was going through the whole process of being stabbed. It wasn't even like the stabbing part, it was the after bit where, you're bleeding, you got a hole in your body, and it's not good. And there's pain and what you do with it, and who to contact, blah blah, and all that. And this wasn't very far from where I live, literally half a block. And so, anyways, by the time I got home, it was gone. Like I'd totally forgotten about it and just disappeared. What was funny, a few days later, same spot in the evening, same thing came up. I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a second. What am I aware of here? Again, it was so real, like it could have been mine. And I get the body is really good for giving you information. We don't often listen to it, but it wasn't like, hey, be aware there's somebody around. It wasn't that energy at all. And so the second time it happened, I was like, okay, there's something going on here. What is this? And so as soon as I started looking at it, I'm like, oh, I'm just aware of that. Whatever that may be, doesn't matter, isn't actually significant, has no meaning at all. It was simply acknowledging that I was aware of that energy in that same spot. Could have been an entity, whatever. It didn't really matter, because as soon as I acknowledged it, it just went away. There was no charge, there was nothing. The whole thing just literally poof, disappeared. And so I was like, wow, that's so fascinating, because it really shows how aware we are of energy and whatever that energy may be. And it isn't actually ours. And there is, in this particular case, for sure, there was nothing else to do with it other than just acknowledging that. If there's something more, then it gets sticky and there's all this other stuff maybe around it, but it wasn't. It literally disappeared. Boom, gone, done, you know. And it was that acknowledgement of like, wow, the realness of how it seemed. And that's an example of just one little thing. So what if it's like you wake up in the morning and you feel like been hit by a truck? You just may, and it's a Monday morning, as an example. You just may be aware of everyone waking up going, oh my God, it's a Monday morning. I don't want to get out of bed. you're just aware, like literally aware of all this. And it doesn't need to be anything specific. You're literally that aware. And but it seems so real to you, so you're like, oh, it must be mine. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed. It's Monday morning, whatever. I've had this happen to me recently. And so when you actually, again, like ask a question, is this mine? Like, is it actually real for me? Or am I just aware of everything going on? Wherever it may be, it may be in your city, it may be whatever. Like, we have capacities, like, wow, they're pretty impressive. So, are you just aware of what's going on? And if you don't buy it as yours, and you're just like, cool, I'm just aware of it, you acknowledge it, boom, it's gone. If you need to, whatever, just let it disappear, send it away, whatever it is, uh, you know, whatever it takes to make that happen. And sometimes just the acknowledgement of it is all it takes, and it literally just disappears. So we have this awareness, this amazing gift of being aware that we never ever really acknowledge, and it's there all the time. And so when you play with this and you realize, wow, I am actually aware, and most of this stuff that's going on in my world isn't actually mine. And so then you start looking at, like, well, if all this stuff that I perceive in the world that I think is mine isn't actually mine, that seems to be preventing, or I'm buying it, and so I'm not allowing myself to be truly who I am and truly what I know is possible. And if that all was gone, if you had no history, no nothing, like, that's when this whole topic of choice comes in. Like, what would you actually choose? If you could choose anything in the world, out of the infinite choices, what would you choose? And, likely it'll never show up the way you think it will, but like, what would you actually choose, and how different would you choose? And so this is something that has been just like exploding in my world lately. And that's kind of how what I was talking about earlier, this whole thing of like, wow, so much has changed in my world, and I'm so aware that so much more has to change. Like, everything has to change massively again. And that's kind of exciting. Some people would say it's maybe a little bit scary. There's definitely a total unknown of how it's going to look like, or whatever. But this energy of like, wow, what else is possible? I know something else is possible. There's been stuff that's been pulling me like crazy. So I have been playing with it and asking questions, and there's going to be something coming with that. And it's also this showing up in the world different, like choosing something different, like every day choosing to do things in a different way. And it's playing with that, and like really it's kind of this conversation of like committing to your life. Like, what would you be willing to totally commit to changing your life that would change, like, the entire way, your entire life, basically, your entire way of being in the world and interacting with the world, and really choosing that. And that's kind of what's been showing up for me. It's been really, really cool. And I'm curious, again, like, in the comments, put in the comments, like, what is there anything changing in your world? And do you perceive the possibility? And have you been acknowledging how amazingly aware you actually are, and how most of this stuff isn't yours at all, and how we use it to limit ourselves so dynamically? Really, we like limit ourselves to the nth degree. It's kind of scary, how good of a job we actually do in limiting ourselves, and what would be possible if we didn't limit ourselves at all. Like, most people like probably scare themselves of like what they could actually accomplish if they actually chose that. And it could change your entire world. Like, people almost can't handle when you're when you show up as the amazing you. And there will be people that will be just drawn to you like crazy as well. So what can you play with in that sense? And it's really the play. And I know I use the play a lot, and it's like looking at what's fun for you and then going, okay, so what more can I do with that? How can I add that into my life, and what else can come from that? And really, really looking at that and acknowledging every moment of every day, how where you are, and what you actually do know. You have this ability and this um, actually a really strong sense of knowing that you probably have never acknowledged. And what could that create? What could you create with the knowing if you chose your knowing over everybody else's? What could you be in the world? What do you know for you? What would work for you that may not work for anybody else? What would be possible? And so, with that, my invitation is for you to really play with choosing more every day, choosing more of you, because you are truly, 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 truly brilliant. And would that be more fun to choose more of you? So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for playing. Um, please comment, and this will be going up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, so you can see all my podcasts there. Every show is posted there. So thank you so much. Have an awesome week. We will see you again next week, and there'll probably be a lot more information. All right, talk to you later. Bye.